4H transmission is all forward with no reverse. And it's one great way to win this race of life. Win the race without having to finish first. And it's time for another unbuckled bumpy ride with your guide, the stark raving LEAN-atic himself. I'm Jim. Let's jump right in again. Welcome to my podcast based on my brand new book, available on Amazon, Live Life Lean, L-E-A-N. It's a year-long guide to gratitude and our daily grind. The book that combines some timeless wisdom from a whole lot of the world's wiser people with the reflections, reactions, and wisecracks of the guide's author, me. And it guides you, the reader, through the simplest system for a happy, healthy, authentic, and genuinely grateful everyday experience. I urge you to get the book. Of course I do. I wrote it. It's either at Amazon or at my website, ampurage.com. A-M-M-P-U-R-A-G-E. But even without it, let's make next week better than last, our next year better than the past, and get started now with today's episode of So manual transmissions. You've heard the term, right? If you can't find it, grind it. Okay, with the 4H transmission, it's not quite what we're talking here. More like grind it until you find it, or until it finds you. Are you a grinder? I am. Are you one? If so, you should be grateful for that fact and for knowing it. Do you believe that the get rich quick is for suckers? And well, honestly, other names that kind of rhyme with suckers? Well, if you know that, I hope you're grateful for it and for having that wisdom as well. When it comes to grinders, who are we talking here, these grinders? Is it you? Are you a leader, a mentor, an example? Do you try? If you know down deep that you don't have to be ahead of everyone else, you just have to be willing to help and lead those who you are ahead of, you might be a grinder. Speaking of, kind of like the old joke, how do you survive being run down by a big hungry bear? Well, you don't have to be faster than what's chasing you. You just got to be faster than the other guy running right next to you. Now that's a different kind of leader. Grinders, they're the leaders that recognize that gratitude is a gift you should be able to give to yourself. But for that, you got to first refuse to wait around and just receive it. You must be willing to look around and retrieve it. And yeah, sometimes do the work and achieve it. That type of gratitude, it's a tool for a happy life, right? Getting on down the road all the way into downtown Gratitudesville is a trip best traveled when you travel using a 4H transmission. Okay, so now let's quantify, let's clarify, let's crystallize these things, these two different things, and how they get together and how they fit together. The grinder, maybe you, and the 4H transmission, the way to help you win. First, the grinder. Okay, I'm going to borrow from the stand-up comedian redneck's routine of comedy here. You might be a grinder if what you really want is just to live and get better this week than last, better this coming year than the past. You might be a grinder if when you get up, maybe for the sun, maybe even up before the sun, the person that you see in the morning mirror is somebody that you respect. You actually respect them enough that you don't worry about how you look in a selfie, or maybe how you look in the mirror. It is before, the sun gets up. You might be a grinder if while the world around you justifies themselves by saying, oh, but I could be so much worse. And yet you catch yourself frequently thinking, I could do so much better. You might be a grinder if you know at your core that your purpose in life is to make a real physical difference here and you're genuinely grateful for that chance, but you really 100% don't want to wake up someday only to find out that you ran out of passion or steam or maybe even just ran out of time. Any of these fit you, you might damn definitely be a grinder. Now, how does the grinder get to where they want to be and be happy that they arrived? Well, that's what the 4H transmission I referenced is about. Look at the pattern of a floor mount gear shift, okay? It's kind of like, 4 on the floor pattern, that type of situation. But imagine that there's no going back. There is no reverse. Look at that 4H pattern on that gear shift for that transmission. Well, just like that 4H pattern, it's all forward gears. There's no reverse. You start at the first, and then you progress to the fastest, highest gear, ideally in order. That's the 4H way, just like a 4H transmission. You go, basically start off in base gear, and you shift all the way through to get up to badass gear, okay? First you start, first H, speed up, build momentum, and you go through the other three. In what order? Well, first gear to get you there if you're a grinder, now heck, if you're anybody. The first H gear is happy. That first H gear, everybody wants. Everybody wants it because it's the foundation for the others. Because honestly, without it, the other H gears that I'm going to tell you about, when they come along, they just don't feel as right. But problem is, if we only stay in happy gear as what is transmitting us and getting us from here to there, it's hard to get any momentum. Just always focusing on making sure that we stay in happy gear. Think about it with a transmission. How long is it going to take for you to get anywhere in just first gear? Next H. The next H gear, healthy. Okay, happy can be brought on by a lot of stuff. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. That brings quick, happy feelings. Oftentimes ends up being followed up by a hangover, an unhealthy, non-healthy hangover. Sometimes short-term, sometimes long-term. So, the next H gear, healthy, is being happy with no hangover from your happy, okay? Healthy is no hangover from your happy, but still experiencing the happy. So healthy, it's like the happy that you feel good about, not just about you feeling good. Understand? That's second gear. Third gear, honorable. Okay, happy and healthy, they're very self-focused. Self-focus is happy and healthy, and it may feel nice, and it may even end nice, but it still stays so small. Again, now you've only gone through the first two gears. It takes a little longer to get where you want to get, okay? It stays so small because you're simply struggling at staying safe in your own backyard. And honestly, really, that just brings you no honor to the group that you share your neighborhood and your reality and around you with, okay? Being honorable means that you're giving honor to and acting honorable for those that you share your neighborhood with. Who are they? Number one, the God that you're here to get to know in the first place. How about number two, the guy or the gal that you're here to be with? Number three, how about the guy or the gal that you're here to become? So you see, if you're all wrapped up in the small package that's just happy and healthy, without that third H gear, the honorable gear, doing what you believe is honorable, giving honor to your fellow gals, guys, and God. Now you're in third gear. There's only one left. If you want to get there, fourth gear. That's the hardest one. The last H gear is honest. Honest is the hardest and the last H gear because for it to work best requires really committing to moving forward. See, when you're in fourth gear, when you're in that high gear of honesty, you can't take the foot off the gas. In honest gear, you take your foot off, you're just going to stutter, you'll stall, and it's like killing the engine and you got to start the whole thing all over again. You can coast on happy. Of course, you can. Occasionally, you can even coast and ignore healthy for a while. You can even be so abundantly human, we probably all have, that you don't always act honorably or give honor where it's due, and you can coast through that. But if you ever switch out of your honesty gear, hell, honestly, it's like just starting all over. Sometimes you got to jump start all the way back at the baseline of happy. Then notice, in the 4H drive system, I haven't mentioned any reverse. There is no going back. Because truth be told, you don't need it in our world. Moving fast and furious, our move is all around us. It's constantly going forward in one capacity or another. And going back and getting passed up by the world are so much alike. All you got to do with the 4H drive, for you, all you got to do to be well-intended as a good-intentioned grinder, just take your foot off the gas for a little bit. You put your life on pause and the world will pass you by just as fast as if you'd thrown it all in reverse. So, going back to defining yourself as I do, as a grinder, my dear grinder friend, if you find yourself good at being a giver but bad at being a receiver, then your grind is just going to wear you down. It's not going to refine you. Use the 4H transmission system. Gear down, drive. Happy, healthy, honest, and honorable. If you find yourself more likely to overplan things and undercomplete projects, gear down, 4H it. If you feel like you're over-attempting and maybe under-accomplishing, gear down, 4H. If your I need to do list tends to become more of a, or it needs to become more of a I am totally done with that list, the only way you're going to get there without any guilt, 4H transmission. If you find yourself overthinking life and maybe underthanking it, not nearly as much gratitude as you'd like to feel, get into your 4H drive system. Grinders, become the person behind the wheel of your best life, living happy, first gear, healthy, second gear, honorable, picking up steam in third gear, and honest. Honest with yourself. And now, more wise words to wow your socks off from the Live Life Lean Guide itself. Entry number 21. Let your motto then always be Excelsior, for by living up to it, there is no such word as fail. P.T. Barnum. And the guide's point of view on this? The word Excelsior signifies ever onwards, ever upwards. But it also is legally recognized as describing natural wood shavings used to fill cushions and pack boxes as filler. So choose. Be either ever upwards and onwards, or be full of it. Excelsior. Thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying your copy of the Live Life Lean, L-E-A-N guide, enjoying it almost as much as I did creating it. And if you don't have a copy yet, go on over to amperage.com or Amazon and get started today experiencing the amazing power of knowing every day is literally yours to be grateful about, and you need never feel unfulfilled again. I'm Jim Hall. And until next time, good health, God bless, and now go get a little dirty learning something new, earning what's not given to you, adding to this crazy world that we share, and navigating your way to something new and next.